l'équipe, c'est Sniple, j'espère que vous allez bien. Ça fait un petit moment qu'on s'était pas fait de vidéo sur YouTube et pour remédier à ça, je vous propose donc là le grand live de Path of Exile 2 sur la nouvelle mage qui nous attend, Dawn of the Hunt, avec tout d'abord la classe d'annoncé qui est la Huntress ou la lancière. Et forcément, ça me fait extrêmement plaisir de me dire aussi, bah là je vous retrouve avec, je pense, le live qui va venir avec énormément de nouveautés en direct de Twitch. J'ai bien hâte de voir ce que vont nous concocter les équipes et faire un petit état des lieux sur ce qui nous attend pour la prochaine grosse mage. Et trop hâte. Ça fait pas mal de temps qu'on attend justement ces grands changements, ces grandes updates. Encore bienvenue à celles et ceux qui viennent de nous rejoindre sur Twitch. Et puis voilà, ça commence dans un peu moins de 2 minutes. Pas mal de choses pour moi ont bougé, mais en tout cas très content de vous retrouver là pour ce retour sur YouTube, parce que c'est vrai qu'il y a aussi pas mal de choses que j'ai faites aussi sur Monster Hunter Wilds dès que j'avais un peu de temps libre, sur les lives et tout. Mais en tout cas, gros retour sur PoE2 et j'ai bien hâte de voir ce que vont nous concocter les équipes de Jonathan et de Marc. Bref, pas mal de hype, pas mal d'attentes, hyper curieux de voir ce qu'on aura comme innovation, voir peut-être aussi les grands moments de gameplay qui nous attendent, peut-être de crafting aussi, parce que forcément, si on revient un petit peu sur ce qu'il y avait avant, il manquait pas mal de trucs, mais là, peut-être, on aura enfin une bien meilleure qualité de vie et de diversité de builds avec ce qui nous prépare. Sur ce, ça commence dans un petit peu moins d'1 minute maintenant, et j'ai bien hâte. Ou alors, ça fait plouf. Non, je pense sincèrement qu'il faut... Moi, je reste toujours très positif sur ce que nous propose en réalité GGG, même si c'est toujours discutable. Moi, je suis quand même content de ce qui se passe, voir comment l'Early Access va encore une fois être, on va dire, porté au mieux. Mais bref, est-ce que je vous laisse les sous-titres? Malheureusement, on les a pas. J'essaierai de vous traduire ou faire un petit état des lieux sur chaque gros morceau, sur chaque grosse news. Bref, les potes, dans 20 secondes, ça y est, on est lancé. Bien hâte de voir ce qui nous prépare là. On est parti.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. Welcome to GGG Live. Well,
Nice.
It's been a little over 3 months since we launched Early Access, so it's about time for our first major content update.
Première grosse mage majeure.
Exclusive reveal of Path
3
of
mois.
Exile 2, Dawn of the Hunt, which launches on April 4th. Twitch drops are enabled on today's live stream, so make sure you follow the instructions below in order to claim your Executioner's Guillotine finisher effect.
Et oui, le nouveau finisher là.
Today's stream, we're going to take you on a deep dive
Oh
into the
oui,
new
les
Dawn of
nouvelles
the Hunt
classes.
update. We'll cover a new class,
Nouvelles ascendances,
5
caractère
new
système
classes,
et
and huge expansions on character systems
les
like
réglages,
and support
l'amélioration donc du
units. After
endgame.
that, onto the endgame
Encore une
updates,
fois, du
including
nouveauté
changes to
sur
systems,
l'endgame.
a bunch of new encounters,
Oh,
and
trop
lots of other
bien.
content.
Et le Q&A, oui, Ziggy.
We're going to finish up today with a live Q&A session where Ziggy D will ask Path of Exile 2's game directors, myself and Mark, your questions from Twitch chat. Now we have a lot to cover today, so let's get started with a trailer for Path of Exile 2, Dawn of the Hunt.
Trop bien. Nouveau trailer ou quoi?
We Azmerian are guided by the spirit. It provides prey, shelter, even love. But for me, one day, all that were changed.
Trop bien le trailer.
The spirit, it showed me something. Something forbidden.
Oh, quelque chose d'interdit.
And
Les
to
gemmes de
defend
pouvoir.
all I loved, I used it. I lost everything that day.
Mais ça, c'est des druides, ça. Attends, je comprends pas.
But fate weren't finished with me yet.
Oh.
I I'll right the wrongs I've done. I'll do what I must, no matter the cost. I will hear the spirit once more.
Oh. Putain, le gameplay a l'air vraiment énervé. Hein. Le gameplay a l'air vraiment énervé. Ça a l'air tellement stylé. Oh putain, ça a l'air vraiment sympa. Hein. Waouh. Oh, la monture enfin. Oh là là. Non, ça a l'air incroyable. 25 nouvelles compétences. Azmerian Wisps, what? Oh, ils ont enfin mis des Rogue Exile. Oh, what? Plus de 100 nouvelles support gems, 100 nouveaux uniques. Oh, les nouvelles ascensions, yes. Nouvelle endgame mécanique, ce qui est... Oh. Wow, les boss. Oh, le lac of Calandra, là. Oh là là, ça y est, c'est déjà masterclass, ça va commencer, en fait. Oh. Oh, c'est fort, là. Ah oui, c'est très très fort. Oh non, mais attends. Ça a commencé il y a à peine 2 minutes. Oh. Bah le 4 avril, on sait sur quoi on est, hein. Oh la vache.
As you can see, in Dawn of the Hunt, we're introducing the first new class since early access to PoE 2, the Huntress. The Huntress is a spear-wielding Azmerian warrior. Born into a society with strict traditions, she was exiled from her homeland after using the power of a skill gem to defend her village.
Oh oui,
As a
ok.
dexterous spear user, she specializes in both
Maman.
melee and ranged combat, dashing into
C'est pas
and
du
out.
contenu là, je te jure, Elinos.
Spears have
Et
extended
gros.
range and a short dash, but unlike other melee
Là, c'est
weapons,
incroyable,
you
ouais,
can
d'accord, les
also throw
potes. Hein.
them. In order to make a hybrid ranged and melee character work, we had to do a lot of thinking about ways to make it fun to both enter and exit.
Bon, bah,
melee
on va s'entraîner sur PO dessous, de
The
toute
first
façon.
skill you will get as a Huntress is Whirling Slash. As well as striking in a circle around you, this skill creates a whirlwind that blinds your enemies. Leaving the whirlwind will make it explode. The more Whirling Slash is used, the bigger the whirlwind, and the bigger the explosion.
Ah, c'est fou en vrai.
Once you're out of there, you'll want to follow up with something ranged. Whip your spear around to shoot
Putain, on peut
twisters
balancer
towards
des
your
tornades,
foes.
c'est trop fort.
These twisters bounce off walls and can hit enemies multiple times. You can also throw twisters inside a whirlwind to shoot out extra tornadoes that do way more damage. In her offhand, the Huntress will usually want to hold a buckler, which allows you to do a new skill, parry.
Oh,
While
pareil
holding
quoi?
down parry, your character will counterattack any incoming attack from monsters near you, stunning them. In addition, the monsters will take extra attack damage from your follow-up strike. Some
trop fort,
specific
wow.
skills are designed to be used after a parry and have extra effects. Disengage is a skill that does a quick jump back, damaging enemies in front of you, and it can be used
Oh,
to
trop bien.
interact
J'avais
with
trop hâte de la
like
tester,
dodgeball.
vraiment.
If you use it against a parried enemy though, it causes an explosion and gives you a frenzy charge.
Ah oui, ça te donne une frenzy, magnifique.
Just be careful. If you parry too much, you're gonna get stunned and possibly killed.
Ah oui, et t'as la barre en
You can
fait.
combine this combo with Whirling Slash. Slash, parry, disengage, and you'll get an explosion from the disengage.
Ah,
and the
c'est
Whirling
frais, hein.
Slash.
C'est très stylé.
The Huntress also has a variety of elemental spear throw attacks. You could use Lightning Spear to bounce lightning between your foes. Or you could throw explosive spears into the ground. These
Ah,
spears take a while
tu
to
peux...
detonate, but when
Oh,
they
c'est
do,
tellement
they'll
fort. Des
suck
lances
anyone forward to
explosives.
blast.
Tellement stylé.
All spear throws on the Huntress can also be empowered by frenzy charges. For example, explosive spears will do an even larger explosion
Oh!
when fire on the ground.
Oh, la croix au
And these
sol.
empowered versions can activate even more combos.
Oh, c'est dingue.
Using Whirling Slash over ground fire will suck it into the whirlwind, adding fire to the explosion. Using twisters inside a fire whirlwind will shoot out fire tornadoes as well. And you can do similar combos with ice and lightning too.
Ouah, ça a l'air
Key aspect
flingué.
of hunting is exhausting your foes by causing blood loss.
Tu
This
peux jouer avec du
skill
sa...
is Rake, which dashes towards your target and unleashes a deadly
Ah,
slash,
tu peux jouer bleed et
opening up wounds on
tout.
your enemies. Follow up with disengage and watch them bleed out as they run towards you.
Oh, what? Trop
On
bien.
the health bar of monsters, you can see how much blood loss the enemy has experienced, and the Huntress has skills to take advantage of this. For example, using Blood Hunt will thrust forward and cause a bloody explosion. The more blood loss, the bigger the explosion. If you want to cause bigger bleeds, try out Rapid Assault. The final hit of this
Ça a l'air vraiment sympa,
stick a
hein.
spear into your enemy for a big bleed.
Waouh.
Now, Explosive Spear and Rapid Assault both result in leaving spears behind, either in the ground or in enemies. But there are other skills that leave spears around too, like Storm Lance, that leaves an electrical spear that arcs towards enemies. But what can you do with all these spears? Detonate them, of course.
Waouh. Tu peux les détonater et tout. Ça a l'air complètement dingue.
Now, as well as hunting animals, the Huntress also has the ability to work with them. While fighting any beast, you have the ability to tame it and use it as a companion. You can only have one companion at a time, but it will keep...
Oh, quoi?
Try to find a rare beast with good mods to take full advantage of your ability to tame them.
Oh, c'est l'air incroyable.
Now, this is just the beginning of the Huntress. We've really tried to make the hybrid ranged and melee gameplay work for this class by having a huge amount of synergy between ranged and melee options. There are 22 new skills available for the Huntress. By endgame, you'll be slinging hundreds of insanely powerful spears, sending forth spirit animals and summoning the might of Solaris from the sky.
Waouh. Ah oui, c'est le truc de Solaris. Putain, mais c'est trop
We still
fort.
haven't talked about ascendancy classes yet. What can the Huntress ascend into? Well, the first ascension class you could choose is the Ritualist. The Ritualist has embraced the darker side of Azmerian traditions by harnessing the power of animal sacrifice and plague.
Waouh.
The Corrupted Life Force skill causes all enemies around you to grow volatile blood boils on their skin. When those enemies are slain, the boils will burst, spreading corrupted blood to all enemies around them.
Oh, tu Corrupted Blood. Génial.
Excels in taking advantage of magical trinkets.
Oh, quoi? Troisième ring? Non.
An additional ring on a finger around your neck.
Oh, quoi?
Taking Mystic Attunement increases the bonuses of all the rings and amulets you have.
Oh là là, bah ça y est, hein, l'ingénuity en fait. Oh là là.
Grants you a new skill, Ritual Sacrifice. Use the skill on the corpses of slain rare monsters to absorb the power in their blood, to give you one of their modifiers for a short time.
Oh, trop fort.
Specialize further into Ritualistic Sacrifice with As the Whispers Demand, which allows you to perform that skill on yourself instead of a corpse. Cut your own hand, sacrificing some of your own blood to empower yourself. The Amazon Ascension is for those looking to hunt more than just beasts.
Amazon,
As an
what?
elite guard to the most important Azmeri elders, the Amazon will use more traditional fighting techniques mastered to perfection. The Predatory Instinct skill will cause you to reveal weaknesses in the defenses of rare and unique enemies, causing you to deal more damage. You can see those weak spots represented on their life bars. While using Elemental Infusion, any charges you consume will infuse your weapon with elemental power, causing any projectile attacks
Oh,
to
ouais,
explode.
trop bien.
The Critical Strike skill is as simple as it sounds. It takes your excess accuracy and gives it to you as critical strike.
Oh, exceptions to hit. Oh, convert en...
Additionally, you have
What?
skills like Mystic Harvest, which allows your elemental damage to leech life, and Azmeri Brew to be able to use either flask to restore both life and mana.
Oh, what?
So those are the two new ascendancies for the Huntress. But those are not the only ascendancies in Dawn of the Hunt. We've added a new ascension class for 3 of the other existing classes too. First up, for our warriors out there, we have the Smith of Kitava. The warrior
Oh, pour
is
le
a blacksmith
warrior.
in origin, taught by his father Renly. With this ascension, you can take your smithing skills to new heights by embracing power from the insatiable one himself, Kitava. Smiths of Kitava are master blacksmiths and have
What?
the ability to forge their
Oh.
weapon, quite literally. Using the Against the Anvil notable skill, you can enhance your weapon with fiery destruction before any battle.
Oh, what?
After doing so, your attacks will release
Je
explosions
me
on hit
cache
for
pour pas que vous
maximum
puissiez
devastation.
voir le Quickspiz.
You can also use the power of Kitava to summon an animated copy of your weapon to fight alongside you. A great
Oh, what?
blacksmith can do more than just forging their weapon.
Oh, c'est pas ma
Their
Spectral
armor can be
Weapon.
enhanced too. Now you might
Sympa.
think this ascendancy class tree looks a little abnormal, and you're right.
What?
There's a
What?
lot of notable skills all disconnected at the bottom there. By taking
Attends,
this point
quoi?
here, which is free to assign, your character is unable to equip body armors with mods of any kind. So your body armor must be normal. Sounds like a downside, right?
Oh,
Except now,
quoi?
in true blacksmith fashion,
Non,
you
mais
get to
c'est
craft your own
nimp.
body armor by taking those disconnected notables with your arms.
What?
If you want your body armor to grant life, take this notable. If you want resistances, take this one.
What?
There's so many choices.
Mais c'est
It's like
nimp.
you're crafting your own body, just in a more literal sense. Now, let's move on to those who prefer the reassuring feel of a crossbow in their hands, the mercenary. Alongside the existing ascension classes, the Gemling Legionnaire and the Witch Hunter, you can now play as the Tactician. The Tactician is a former Blackguard elite. Free from the duties of a Blackguard, he is able to use his training to decimate the monsters of Rayclast and earn a healthy income doing so. This
Technician.
training comes in the form of various skills like suppressing fire, which causes all projectiles to pin enemies.
Ok.
Combined with the right where we want them notable,
Pin enemy
pin
cannot
not only
perform
stops enemies
actions.
from moving, but stops them
Oh,
from
quoi?
performing actions too. Similar to friends.
What?
With a soldier's training, the
Can
tactician
place
also
multiple
works well
banners.
cooperatively.
Oh, c'est
Using
flingué.
whoever pays best notable, you can place multiple banners at once. The Watch How We Do It skill gives a portion of your weapon's damage to your allies as well.
Waouh, ça a l'air tellement
But if that isn't
fort.
enough, you can also
Then
command
skill
your
is supporting
army of off-screen
fire.
archers to unleash hell and carpet an entire area with arrows.
Oh, trop stylé, le nombre de
Finally, Witch players
flèches.
will be able to join their legions by becoming undead themselves. In Dawn of the Hunt, we're introducing the Lich Ascension class.
L'ascension
The
Lich.
is a master of chaos and curses and could sacrifice her life to enhance her energy shield. The Crystalline Phylactery skill allows you to nominate a
Wow.
jewel in which to contain part of your soul, massively
Oh, quoi?
increasing its power. There's just one downside to splitting your soul this way, though. If you have no energy shield, your mana costs will shoot up. The Necromantic Conduit skill causes you and allies in your presence to have unholy might, granting extra
Waouh.
damage as chaos damage.
C'est nimp.
Rupture the Soul makes enemies you curse explode with chaos damage when slain.
Trop bien.
Dominion over Flesh allows you to apply an additional curse.
Oh, you can play additional curse. You can affect. Oh, X-proof enemies. Waouh.
It's safe to say you'll be the true master of the occult by choosing the Lich class.
Waouh, c'est nimp.
So Dawn of the Hunt has the Huntress and 5 new Ascension classes, but it doesn't end there. Let's take a look at some of the new skills we've added. Now you may remember
Okay.
we previously talked about the Raise Spectre skill. It's finally complete, and it will be made available in the upcoming expansion. It can be found in the occult skills on the skill gem crafting panel.
Bah,
Raise
inspect.
Spectre is a skill that allows you to trap the soul of almost any monster in the game,
Waouh. C'est
which you can then
nimp.
summon in the skill panel. Spectres cost spirit and will revive automatically if they die, but the spirit cost varies based on the power of the monster. You could summon an army of weaker monsters, or a few of the more powerful monsters.
Oh, trop
You
stylé.
can combine them with your existing skeleton minions, or summon exclusively spectres. It's all up to you and how you want to customize your army of the undead.
Ah, tellement stylé.
Given that there are hundreds
Trop
upon
bien.
hundreds of monster variants in Path of Exile 2, it's safe to say you'll be experimenting with this one for a while. We look forward to seeing which monsters serve you best. Now let's move on to our next skill. Since we've been talking about summoning undead so much, let's have a change of pace and summon something a little more alive. In Dawn of the Hunt, we're adding the Summon Rower skill. Summon your friendly rower to aid you in combat as a minion. You can also mount your rower in combat at any time, allowing you to move at full speed even while shooting arrows or throwing
Ah,
spears.
c'est nimp.
Be wary though, if you take too much
Mais tout le monde va
damage,
jouer
your
ça, en
mount can
fait.
be knocked off and get overwhelmed. It's worth
Waouh.
keeping an eye on your stagger bar, as falling off the mount can mean almost certain death. On the topic of new ways to enhance your character, let's talk about support gems. Support gems are used to modify your skill gems in meaningful and interesting ways. Currently, we feel that a lot of builds have insufficient options here. To alleviate this, we're adding over 100 new support gems. Hema crystals will enable a new kind of bleed build, turning the damage over time you would have done into explosive Vile crystals. Alignment is a support gem for bow attacks, which can reward skilled players with good positional skills. Caltrops will allow you to litter the battlefield with hazards, slowing your foes as you fling spears through their ranks.
Waouh.
But there's plenty more for every playstyle, such as Enormity, Unsteady
Minions
Tempo,
increase. Steady tempo. Moins de chance au critical hit.
Profanity,
Waouh, génial quand même. Hein.
Retaliate, Syzygy. Yep, that's a real word.
CCG.
And many more. Now, we've talked about a new class, new ascendancy classes, new skills, and new support gems. But let's not forget about the core of a true action RPG, the items. To start with, let's talk about uniques. We're adding over 100 new unique items.
Ah, sympa ça,
This time, we
100.
made sure to add uniques with a focus on mid and endgame tiers to make sure there are more exciting items to find for higher level characters. Let's look at some examples. Embrace your inner devil with Chernobog's Pillar. It grants you a large amount of fire damage based on your block chance.
Oh, trop bien ça.
The Coming Calamity allows you to become a true master of the elements, granting you all
Oh,
three
le
elemental
triple
hero
LM.
skills without costing any spirit. At the same time, it penalizes enemy resistances. Waste Gate is a belt useful for builds using a single resource like Blood Magic or Archmage builds. With this belt, you can use 2 life flasks or 2 mana flasks.
Oh, tout mana ou tout là. Oh, c'est
We could
incroyable
go
ça.
through these all day, but we'll leave most of them for you to discover. Suffice to say,
Waouh.
though, we want there to be way more cool things to find. Over time, our goal is to add a unique to every single base item type at a minimum, so that you can chance any base in the game. Now, given that we have the Huntress, we have a set of unique spears from early game all the way through to end game as well. One example is Scyther's Spear, which combines bleed and fire in a powerful way. It allows your
Oh,
knights to be aggravated
bleed.
with
Attends,
substantially
bleed
more
et
damage.
ignite, incroyable ça.
We're also introducing
Pas de
a suite of
projectile, par
unique
contre.
bucklers with some interesting parry mechanics.
Infinite projectile
Our
barrier
Guardian's
range.
Arc, for example, allows you to parry projectiles from any distance. And we're also adding our first unique charms. Bayra's Anguish will not only protect you
Oh,
from attacks,
un nouvel charme
but will
unique.
also emit a devastating fire nova whenever you do
Gain de charge, mais kill un ennemi.
In some, there's just a ton of new
Oh,
uniques
c'est
to find.
nimp.
We can't wait to see the weird and broken builds that come out of it. Now, we also want to talk about crafting options.
Ah,
Each
crafting.
major update during early access will be continuing to add and improve the options here. We have various new crafting tools that have been added as rewards to many of the different types of new content that we're adding. But for now, I just want to mention the changes to runes. Runes add commonly available mods, but since they only have one tier, flat damage mods tend to get outclassed by endgame. So we've changed runes to have multiple tiers, allowing you to get higher tier mods than before. Our
Oh.
plan is to significantly expand the number of more specialized mods for crafting using socketables as we add new content over time. And the first new set of those comes from what we're talking about next. In Dawn of the Hunt, we're adding Azmerian Wisps, which can be found
Purée, mais c'est
throughout both the
génial.
campaign and the endgame. The Azmeri spirit has made itself present in Rayclast, and it appears to be trying to warn, or maybe prepare us for the coming darkness. You will first encounter a manifestation of it in the Grellwood in Act 1, where you'll meet Delwyn, an Azmeri hunter who is trying to find out what exactly is causing the spirit to behave this way. As you approach the wisp, it will flee, leading you past monsters. Any
Waouh.
monsters it comes into contact with are infused by it, making them more powerful. Each spirit is associated with a specific revered animal within Azmeri culture. This one is a wisp of the Great Bear, and grants enemies extra life and stun. The wisp moves faster the closer you are, and as you move away, they slow down to wait for you. But if you get too far away for too long, they'll dissipate and return to the woods. As you continue to chase the wisp, it will find and possess a rare or unique monster, granting it a new powerful ability. Because this was a wisp of the Great Bear, this monster now also has increased life and stun. But on top of that, it will periodically summon a large spectral bear that slams with wild fury.
Waouh, ça a l'air tellement fort
If
aussi
you're
comme.
able to defeat this foe, you will be rewarded. For each monster that was infused and killed along the way, the rewards will be increased. Each wisp has its own mechanics. The Wisp of the Winter Owl is a primal wisp that causes enemies to deal extra cold damage, gain energy shield, and release wind vortices on death. When
Sympa. Hein.
infusing a monster, they will call down large tornadoes to protect their host. The Wisp of the Wild Cat is a vivid wisp that causes affected monsters to deal more critical strikes and become more evasive. When it infuses a monster, it will summon a barrage of feline spirits that will attempt to tear you limb from limb.
Waouh.
If you're lucky, you may
Ça a
even
l'air
find
nimp.
sacred wisps that can do some pretty crazy things to the monsters they influence. Like the Wisp of the Cunning Fox, which turns normal monsters into magics, magic monsters into rares, and rare monsters into actual bosses.
Oh, quoi? Oh, c'est génial.
Azmerian Wisps can drop a new set of socketable items that allow you to craft a wide range of interesting new
One
mods
rage on
onto your
melee
items.
hit.
Each one may only be used on a specific item slot. As mentioned, the Azmerian Wisps can be encountered throughout the game.
Oh,
There's
attends,
also
quoi?
a new endgame map called the Azmeri Ranges, a mountain village where the Azmeri once lived, now overrun with corrupt monsters. This map always has multiple Azmerian Wisps in it, and familiar yet not quite the same boss fight. Azmerian Wisps can also be further modified by the endgame Atlas tree as well. And
Ouais, ils ont changé des trucs là. Ah ouais.
But I'm not going to be the one talking about those things. In order to cover all the new
C'est
content in the game,
nymphe.
I'm going to hand things over to Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. There's a
Waouh.
ton to talk about with the endgame today, so let's dig right in. Path of Exile 2's early access began with a brand new endgame, and it was clear that it needed a lot of work. After absorbing your feedback, we're ready to make some epic changes. The first thing is, we just need a lot more content. In Dawn of the Hunt, we have made sure to focus on increasing the sheer number of interesting and different encounters you will randomly stumble into as you explore the endgame. And the second goal is to smoothen the progression through maps and reduce the amount of annoying busy work. To start with, let's talk about the new interesting stuff to find. Well, the most obvious thing to add are new maps. As well as the Azmeri ranges that Jonathan mentioned earlier, Dawn of the Hunt also contains 7 other new maps, all with their own custom encounters. Let's start with this one.
The Feral Megaliths map starts off in the wild Ezomite forests. As you progress through the forest, you will find mysterious rune-carved stones that, when touched, surge with energy. After activating all the stones, you can find a grand henge, where all the energy is coalescing. You can then start an encounter. The area darkens, a storm moves in, and a concentration of energy summons a dangerous boss. You must fight and defeat the boss to get its rewards. Once you have defeated it, summon another. And another. And another. And another. You have 10 total waves of boss fights which get incrementally more difficult. If you
Waouh.
manage to defeat them, you get full boss rewards, but also opportunities to get new runes. These can only be obtained from this map.
Waouh, le boss killer.
Contains a surreal waterscape with
Oh, le
fractured
Lake of
objects.
le Lake of
As you move
Calandra.
around the map, the terrain itself elevates from below.
Oh là là,
creating
trop
ground
bien. Je suis trop content
In
qu'ils aient
this
rajouté
map,
ça.
All the rare monsters are mirrored, so you're always fighting 2 of the same rare at the same time. Which
Putain,
can
c'est
prove
magnifique.
quite difficult.
C'est magnifique. Ah mais là, on va voir les trucs
If you
qui.
manage to overcome that challenge and make it to the end of the map, you'll be presented with a broken mirror.
Waouh.
Altar-like object that contains an item within it. The item contained within is a new base type, either an amulet or a ring
Oh, ils
that can be crafted to have
c'est des
additional
fous.
prefixes or suffixes at
Oh,
the
c'est
cost of the owner.
nymphe.
The last unique map
Et
we'll
qui
show
est les
today
meilleurs
is one
items
based
ever
around
quand tu veux
the essence
focus un
mechanic.
truc. Waouh.
You enter a crystalline cavern, and you will find a powerful map boss imprisoned in the center. It is surrounded by many rare monsters, also
Wow.
imprisoned in essences. By freeing and defeating the rare monsters, the essence they held will be upgraded to a greater essence.
Oh,
and be
ça a l'air
added to the
incroyable.
imprisoned map boss. How brave are you? How many essences will you add to the boss? Overdo it, and you might lose everything. Underdo it, and you might regret it. It's your choice. Speaking of essences, alongside visual improvements, you're now able to apply Varlorbs to corrupt
Et on peut les
essences
corrupt
with a
maintenant, trop bien,
range of
ok.
unpredictable outcomes. It could increase the number of essences, re-roll all the essences to the same type, or even upgrade the essences to greater essences. What if they're already greater essences? Well, it can upgrade those too. We have 4 new corrupted essences.
Essence of
Essence of
Insanity.
hysteria, delirium, horror, and insanity.
Waouh.
Each corrupted essence has its own
Non mais ils ont
interesting
non
combat
mais c'est encore
mechanics.
une masterclass là.
For example, the essence of insanity causes you to question even your own mind, as monsters split into shadowy clones, and you must locate the real one before a devastating icy explosion freezes everything around it. Each of these has their own crafting outcomes. The essence of insanity can be applied to a belt. It adds a mod that will ensure the next Varlorb used on the belt will guarantee
Mais c'est
adding
trop
2
fort. Mais
enchantments.
what? Mais ils ont complètement craqué. Oh.
It's worth
Oh,
noting
les
all the
items.
essences in the unique map can also be corrupted too, if you're willing to risk it. It's worth noting we have also added 10 extra Atlas passive
Ouah,
points
10
you can
points de
earn by
plus.
completing 5
Mais
different
eh, le
unique maps.
endgame là, maman.
Now, new maps are just the beginning. We had a goal where we wanted to make sure you were constantly finding exciting new content. and that it could be
What?
lurking around any corner. So, we have added a bunch of new things that you could stumble into in any map you run.
On your travels, you will sometimes encounter rogue exiles. Others like you who have been exiled and are openly hostile. Some are malicious, some are mad, while others are simply fiends for loot. They will challenge you, a fight to the death. They use the same skills available to players and even the same items.
Les rocs, ça va être quelque
They aren't
chose.
just
Hein.
dressed up in those items, they're actually using them. It's going to feel like a true player versus player situation. Of course, if you are able to slay these exiles, those items will all drop on the ground. So if you encounter an exile using a powerful or valuable unique item, which you can see displayed under their life bar, you want to be damn sure you kill them. Because if they kill you and your party, they'll portal out, taking their items with them. Every fight will feel completely different depending on the items they come equipped with. These exiles are much smarter than your regular monster. They have capabilities to dodge roll, avoid your abilities with smart pathfinding, smart targeting, and much more action-packed gameplay.
Ouah, ça a l'air bien.
Fortunately, they're like you, and they're not super durable. Unless, of course, they're wearing uniques like Calm's Heart.
Ouais, j'ai vu les 6 portals, ouais.
There are 12 different rogue exiles you can find, each with their own skills and personalities. Some may insult you, while others may admire your honor in combat.
Another encounter you might stumble onto in Dawn of the Hunt are one of 4 new unique strongboxes.
Strongboxes are chests with modifiers.
Trop fort, c'est nimp.
They activate traps and spawn waves of monsters that
Ils ont craqué sur l'annonce, what the fuck.
Let's take a look at 2 of the new unique boxes that are harder to find and behave just a little bit differently.
What?
The Ogham's Legacy Strongbox has a corpse splayed out in front of the rune-carved stone. Upon interacting with the stone, you activate Forbidden Ezomite magic, which revives the monster as a powerful rare. The Strongbox comes with a modifier which determines how many times it will revive that rare.
What?
Each time you defeat the monstrosity, the Strongbox revives it again, adding an extra modifier to the monster.
Oh, what the fuck?
With each resurrection, it becomes more difficult, but also more rewarding. This Strongbox is infused with Thaumaturgy from ancient Foul technology. Eshell's Torment has a powerful artifact inside.
Ils ont encore fait un taf de monstre, hein. C'est incroyable. Hein. Je suis hyper satisfait là de ce qu'on a déjà. Stylé, trop belle. Oh la Soundbox Karam.
Introduction to the endgame. Upon starting the endgame, Doriani tasks you with cleansing corruption to help restore the land. However, in practice, the quest objective just sent you on a grind to clear 15 maps. We wanted to make the quest to unlock your Atlas passives much more interesting.
Now, Doriani is tasking you with a more specific objective. On the Atlas, you will find areas of corruption caused by the beast. In the center of each one, you will find a corrupted nexus, the source of the affliction.
Un nexus.
In the areas leading up to the nexus, you will notice that corruption spills out from slain enemies and amalgamates into powerful monsters.
Stylé, un truc encore plus central sur la corde.
Existed on the Atlas before, but we've done significant work on improving these monsters. We've also done a full pass on the modifiers on these maps to make them more interesting and more rewarding. Once you reach the nexus, you will have a new task: cleanse the source of corruption. When you defeat the last rare in those maps, they will spawn one of 3 terrifying bosses, amalgamations of corruption itself. After defeating that boss, Doriani will come and cleanse the corruption for good. As the remains of the boss are purged of corruption, it coalesces into raw crystallized power, which you can use to gain points for your Atlas passive skill tree.
Ok, sympa.
The upgrade system that allows you to add and enhance content in your maps. We didn't stop there though.
Bien
When you
vu.
complete a corrupted nexus, all of the remaining surrounding corrupted maps will become cleansed maps. Cleansed maps also have new monsters,
Ok.
a new boss, and
Sympa.
their own set of modifiers and rewards. Including
Stylé.
finding fracturing orbs by slaying
Tellement
cleansed
stylé.
enemies. These orbs can be used in crafting on a rare item to cause one of its modifiers to become fractured.
Oh!
A fractured modifier is one that cannot be modified by
Non,
any
ils ont mis les
means.
fractures. Non,
You
mais
are able to
attends,
freely
quoi?
modify the item, ensuring the fractured modifier will never change. If you
Waouh,
get
ça
the
y est
right
en fait.
item
Non mais ça
with
y
the
est,
right
le
mod,
jeu est
it
enfin
can
parfait,
prove to be a
genre.
very powerful crafting base indeed.
What?
Now choose
Non,
Do
mais
you
non.
complete all the corrupted maps and then
Ouah,
the
c'est
Nexus?
incroyable.
Maybe you beeline to the Nexus, complete it, and do all the remaining maps cleansed. Both have rewards to entice you and challenges to assess.
Now, let's have a talk about towers.
One thing we've had a lot of feedback on is the busy work around running towers and managing your tablets. The first change we've made here is that we have reduced the number of towers drastically. So there are now 1/3 as many as before, but we've made them much more powerful.
Ok.
To start with, tablets now inherently add twice as many mechanics. But that's not all. Running higher tier maps and towers now increases the number of mechanics applied by tablets. By tier 15, the bonus is double, allowing a single tablet to now add 4 times as many mechanics as before. So, we're running far fewer towers, dealing with fewer tablets, and affecting even more maps than before. But because there are fewer towers overlapping with each other, you won't get as many opportunities to stack different tablets. In order to solve this, we've made it so that each tower can consume up to 3 tablets at once. You always get 1 slot on completing the tower, but if you can complete a tower with more mods on the waystone, you can unlock a 2nd or 3rd slot. Overall, this allows for even more juicing from towers, while drastically reducing the amount of busy work you have to do. On top of that, towers are much more interesting maps because they can now spawn with all mechanics, including bosses.
Each tower map has a new boss. Let's take a look at a couple here.
The boss fight of the Alpine Ridge map has 2 powerful witches contesting for territory. One witch has an affinity for ice, the other fire.
Ok.
Who will win? Hopefully neither. The boss of the Sinking Spire map is a remnant of the Val that has been charged with lightning. It uses a full suite of lightning abilities, but be careful. If any of them hit the surrounding constructs, they will power up.
Another thing that we've seen a lot of feedback about is sustaining waystones. As we looked into it, we realized that the people who couldn't sustain waystones were dying a lot more than we had expected. And that made us realize something. During the campaign, the expectation is that you can die multiple times in order to learn how to overcome challenges. You are able to learn how the monsters behave, adapt to their skills, and eventually overcome them. But as soon as you get to the endgame, you are effectively no longer allowed to die if you want to sustain waystones. By the time you are getting towards the end of endgame, we want you to have to be careful not to die. But it certainly shouldn't be that we have such a sudden shift as you run your first maps.
The first change we're making is you can now respawn and return to a map if you die.
Ok. Ouais, ils ont bien remis les supports. Ok.
Continuing from where you left off. When you start the endgame, you
Un
get
peu
up to 6
moins
total
l'impression. Ah, c'est
attempts.
dommage quand même. Leur portail, il donnait un truc.
As you add more modifiers to a waystone, the number of respawns goes down. This means that as you get to the point that you're running every waystone as a rare, you will have to be more careful.
Oh, par contre, ah non, ils ont gardé le portail s'il est rare.
In parties, everyone gets to respawn that number of times.
Ah, tu vois, comme quoi on parle trop vite, tu vois, bisous, tu vois. Là.
We still think it's important that you can kill a boss in one go. In order to allow that to happen, we've made a change so that once you start the boss fight, it changes over to the same respawning system we use for pinnacle bosses. This means that the map owner can choose to respawn everyone at the same time.
Ok, sympa. Ah, tu... Oh, what? Ah ouais, bien mieux pour la
Another complaint
coop.
we've seen a lot of is players not wanting to do the pinnacle content because of the experience penalty from dying. A change we've made here is that all pinnacle content now no longer grants experience, but also no longer removes experience on death either. Dawn of the Hunt also brings the first batch of Twilight Order reliquary keys from the early access supporter packs.
Oh oui.
These
Ah oui,
keys
c'est vrai.
contain items selected by our supporters.
Oui, je vais
They
enfin
can
pouvoir.
contain any unique item found in Path of Exile 2. If the selected item is a pinnacle boss drop, then only special keys dropped by this content will be able to provide these items. For example, Hand of Wisdom in action can only come from a key dropped by Zesht. We're also making a change that allows pinnacle boss uniques to drop at any difficulty. Rarer uniques will be rarer at lower difficulties, but still possible to find. This applies to the drop chances for the reliquary keys from this content as well. We spoke about towers and tablets earlier, but we have also added a suite of unique tablets.
Oh.
Each of these adds crazy interactions to the maps influenced by it. For example, this unique tablet allows you to run any map in a tower's radius without requiring connections, which can be quite usual for jumping gaps and traveling around your
Oh,
house.
je savais que... Voilà, la tablette Bridge.
And this
J'en avais
tablet
parlé en
causes
plus.
all
Putain, c'est vrai,
monsters
ça.
spawn during expedition encounters
Putain,
to be
trop
duplicated,
fort.
and weakens all expedition
Non,
monsters
mais
that
ça va être
emerge
encore
from
une
the
saison
ground.
incroyable.
The
Non,
Atlas
mais
tree
c'est
has
déjà
also been
masterclass.
expanded, and you can find many of the new mechanics there.
C'est tellement
And improvements
fort.
to existing ones too.
Putain, les tablettes qui te permettent de te TP là, what the... Trop bien, trop bien. C'est absolument ce qu'on voulait en fait.
Crafting options that we've added. New runes, corrupted essences,
Wow.
fractured mods, and jewelry crafting bases.
C'est
But we
incroyable.
did have just one more crafting system to talk about. Recombination.
Expedition was the only in-game mechanic that was
Oh,
lacking a
ils les ont
crafting
remis.
system, so that
Non.
needed to change. Recombination is a mechanic that might be familiar to some players. It allows you to merge two items together, hoping to get the best elements of each on a
Ah
single
quoi?
new
Mais ils ont... Ah, ils ont
This
craqué.
new crafting bench will be
Non, là, ils ont dit, on met
unlocked to
tout, là.
complete your first expedition.
Ah ouais,
It requires
non.
artifacts found during expeditions to fuel it. The rarer the mods on the item you are combining, the more expensive the cost.
That wraps up all the major in-game changes we're talking about today.
Wow.
With all the system changes and new content, we can't wait to get in there, start blasting maps, and obliterating monsters. There is one more thing we wanted to clarify before we move on, which is that all the content we've talked about today will be made available in the existing early access leagues, so you can play your existing characters.
C'est trop
However, there will
fort.
be new leagues made for those who wish to start in a fresh economy.
Putain,
It is
c'est un...
recommended to start over and get the full new experience in the Dawn of the Hunt leagues.
C'est nymphe.
For all our existing early access players, we're really looking forward to joining you playing in this new update. For those who don't already have access and are interested in playing Path of Exile 2, Dawn of the Hunt, you are able to at any time purchase an early access supporter pack at www.pathofexile2.com. Additionally, the Paladin and Penance supporter packs are now available to purchase in Path of Exile 2 and contain 6 microtransactions each and the full pack's face value in points. All the microtransactions contained within these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. With
Wow.
release at the end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you'll need for the release. Keep an eye on the news. On release weekend, we expect to launch the new mystery box and many new microtransactions, including Path of Exile 2's first alternate skill effects. Thanks for joining us today and checking out our latest developments.
Ouah, c'est
We're
trop
looking
fort.
forward to playing the Huntress,
C'est
trying
trop
new
fort ce qu'ils ont
builds,
fait,
and
what?
exploring the new endgame next week. We'll begin the Q&A shortly, so please get your questions ready.
Purée. What? Mais que dire, que dire, que dire? Un bon 3/4 d'heure de full info, de full truc. Bah, ça y est, quoi. Ils ont enfin mis un état des lieux. Enfin, ils ont. Trop fort, trop fort, trop fort, trop fort, les gars. C'est trop fort ce qu'ils ont fait. Je suis hyper choqué. Je suis hyper choqué de la puissance de cette mage là qui arrive. Enfin, là, si on devait en faire un débrief, si on devait refaire un petit retour à chaud comme ça, c'est fou. En fait, là, on est vraiment, je pense, là, clairement, il manque que les classes. Il manque que les ascensions et le contenu qui arrive sous peu. Le rework des essences. Les tablettes là, qu'ils nous ont données, là. Les nouvelles support gems, les nouveaux trucs. C'est une folie. Vraiment, je suis bouche bée. Franchement, je m'attendais pas à ce qu'ils mettent autant de trucs. Enfin, ils ont vraiment fait en mode... les potes, genre... Ok, il y a de la jouabilité, ils ont remis des supports gems, les nouveaux uniques aussi. Plus de 100 items uniques qui arrivent, guys. C'est énorme. C'est énorme. Bah après, ils ont sorti, tu vois, Malik, ils ont sorti cette histoire de on refresh l'économie et let's go. Après, pour moi, là, vu le choix qu'on va avoir, il y aura toujours du stacking, je pense, mais ça sera bien moins présent, je pense. Ce sera bien moins présent et surtout le crafting là qui te permet de ne pas te cantonner à ce genre de build, ça va être déjà génial. Non, mais trop fort. Trop fort. Enfin, c'est oufissime en fait qu'on ait cette quantité de contenu. Honnêtement, je suis. C'est presque un 20 sur 20, hein, vraiment, hein. Je sais pas. Honnêtement, il y a vraiment des trop bonnes choses. Enfin, les maps, le bossing là qui se passe en arène. Pff, c'est une folie. C'est une folie, c'est une folie, c'est une folie. C'est trop cool. Les tourelles aussi là qui prennent maintenant quand même toutes les maps là. Enfin. Ouais, les trois anneaux aussi, l'ascendance. Sympathique, hein, cette histoire de. Enfin, Huntress, là, avec les deux ascends. En tout cas, ça confirme aussi une chose, c'est que. Là, vous voyez, typiquement, les potes, le fait qu'ils rajoutent à chaque fois une nouvelle classe, ça sera maximum, potentiellement deux. Mais le guerrier, là, avec le Kitava, l'ascendance du Kitava, ça a l'air génial. Ben, je vous la mettrai sur YouTube, là, pour celles et ceux qui n'ont pas. Je vous la mets tout de suite après, de toute façon. Mais c'est génial. C'est vraiment génial tout ce qu'ils ont fait. Bref, bah écoutez, en tout cas, ce live annonce incroyable. Le 4 avril, on sera connecté bien sûr. Donc ça y est, hein, c'est dans quoi? C'est dans 2 semaines? Non, c'est la semaine prochaine. La semaine prochaine, messieurs dames. Donc vendredi 4 avril au soir, on est connecté quoi. On est connecté. C'est insane. Oh! Merci Lila pour le Prime Gaming. Merci pour l'abonnement, ça régale. Merci beaucoup, ça régale. Trop bien, trop bien. Bon, en tout cas, messieurs, dames, merci d'avoir suivi cette vidéo jusqu'au bout. J'espère que vous êtes aussi impatients que moi pour tester tout ça à partir de la semaine prochaine, donc 4 avril. Trop hâte. Donc c'est sûr qu'on jouera à la Huntress, seule classe qu'on n'a pas encore joué. Et puis, bah, de toute façon, d'ici là, on reviendra un peu plus en détail sur chaque chose qui nous attend pour le début de ce endgame. Encore merci tout le monde, prenez soin de vous, et je vous dis à très vite. C'était Sniple, ciao ciao.